Hello and welcome to Afternoon Tea with Karen. We're going to have a look today at the celebrity Chris Becks.
So yeah, I'm gonna tell my story. And Kristen Beck is a lot of things. A farmer, a wife, a father. Kristen Beck also used to be a husband and a football player. Also a bearded Navy SEAL working behind the lines in Afghanistan. The SEAL teams, that's the toughest of the tough. That's the top dudes in the military. So that's what I had to do.
Shots from the low ready, going up, shoot from the low ready.
She's a combat soldier, and she's seen a lot of it.
Drop.
What do you want to do? Open presents first. Well, let's have some breakfast, and then we'll sit down and open presents.
I got married and had kids, 2 boys in my first marriage, and they were born in 1998 and 2000. So it was just before the war. And then 9/11 happened and I went off to that war and I deployed and I was gone for a long time. So I hardly ever saw him for like the first, 4 years, 5 years. And every time I did come home, I was like this angry, bearded Viking. And I was drinking beer and kind of riding my motorcycle and being a jerk. And I'd look back on it now and yeah, I was a jerk. I wasn't a very good father and I wasn't a very good husband. And I know it was difficult for them. And especially now that I can think back in those times, and I wish I could have done better, and I know it's all messed up and you can't make up for it. But I try, or at least build something new. But they're 18 and 19-year-olds now. They have their own lives. And I'm not part of that life either, and I wish I could be. It was like a breaking point. It was like I'm done being everything everyone else wants to be, but nothing for myself. So it's time for me to start living. And so my life kind of started in 2011 when I retired. I am Senior Chief Chris Beck, currently in Afghanistan.
Christopher Beck served this country with great strength and great honor for 20 years.
He was a member of a special counterterrorism unit called SEAL Team 6.
He became an elite Navy SEAL, and all the time carrying a burden that finally led him to make a drastic decision.
No one ever met the real me. No one knew anything.
Chris Beck details his transformation to become Kristen Beck.
In some ways, this is way more mentally and physically rigorous than many things I've done in my past. We're Americans, and we are part of our country. It's another mission, and now I'm starting over.
It was a shock.
I had no clue. We were brothers, but I never saw a girly in him.
I like your outfit.
I think I got this out from you. This is like my new armor.
I'm here for any team guy or team girl. Someone who wants to change their gender, it just doesn't seem to fit in with that lifestyle.
This is how you fight. This is how you shoot your weapons.
The real Kristen Beck.
I was beyond proud.
I fought for 20 years for life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. And I want some happiness. This is my life.
Beck, welcome to my podcast. I'm glad to have you on here.
Thank you.
Can we start off by you giving a brief background about who you are and what it is you do and a little bit about what you've been through?
Okay. Well, my name is Chris Beck. I'm known as a Navy SEAL. Actually, originally I was known as a Navy SEAL, and that was about it. And then after I retired in 2011, I started feeling things that made me want to change my life a bit. And then in 2013, 14 time frame, I came out as transgender. And then and I lived that way for quite a while. And I say I lived that way as a past tense, which isn't really proper, because I think that's the misconception a lot of people don't know, is that transgender it's not transgender, it's gender identity disorder. And that's something that I had, and I think a lot of folks have it, except that mine was possibly a little bit extreme because of whatever reasons. And then I also, I was retired, and I was at that point in my life where I was like, I don't care anymore, And then I came out as Kristen, and they made a movie on CNN about it, and then everything just went off the hook after that. I went on a lot of news programs, and all kinds of things started happening. It was like the floodgates opened up as soon as you go on one episode. It just goes wild. And now in this year, I announced publicly that I was detransitioning. And I was already, the word detransition, I'd love to talk about that also, because that's just a ridiculous word. But I started trying to go back to who I really was. I tried to figure out what was wrong, and I had to do this all on my own because I had no help doing this. I asked for psychological help, in different ways, and I almost felt like the psychological community is on a track, and I don't understand it. And so anything that was wrong with me, they would just keep going back to transgender or saying something about identity and all this stuff. And so that's when I started really digging into like Carl Jung and a whole bunch of other books, and Jordan Peterson, as a matter of fact. I didn't even know you were his daughter when I first said yes to your podcast. But
that's cool.
Well, that's a whole other story.
Why did you decide to detransition? Was there something that happened?
No, there was nothing. Well, part of it was I started loving myself. I started really digging in and understanding the concept, understanding psychology. Like I said, I started going for a master's degree in mental health counseling, and I learned so much. And there's no way that anybody could learn what you need to know about psychology or counseling or mental health or anything if you don't take those courses. And barely anybody can take all those courses, or read all those books and really dig into it. So, and that's why we have to rely on the experts. But I didn't have that chance. At the VA, the mental health counseling and psychology departments at the VA are just, it's not good. And so if you're looking for help, and for me, I'm living on my retirement and I don't have a lot, so I'm not going to be able to go hire somebody or do anything, So I just started doing it myself. And that's one of the big reasons why I started going into the course.
Good for you.
I wanted to heal myself. I was tired of everything just seemed bad. I had pretty bad PTSD, traumatic brain injury from a lot of explosions. And then I had other stuff going on. I also had an opioid issue for a while there because they were pushing those things on us so bad. And once you start doing them, you do enough of them that you're going to get stuck. It's one of those things that if you take some of it and you keep doing it, you're going to get stuck. You're done. It's a terrible, terrible drug. So I had to heal myself. And then so I was doing that, and right in the middle of that, I met Courtney. And for the first time in my life, I truly fell in love. I found someone who loved me, and I loved her like 100%, like wholly. It was I never had that before. you know. And I'll tell people who I was with before that I loved them, you know, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't like that. There was something missing. And I think what was missing was that I wasn't healed myself. What was missing that I didn't love myself, you know. And if you can't love yourself, how do you expect to love somebody else? And so in my healing through me going through these schools and all these courses and reading all these books, and then also me meeting, you know, starting to love myself and then meeting someone else who was actually truly able to fall in love with, you know, really started clicking in. And so that's been a couple of years now. And then if anybody noticed, I've been wearing flannel shirts all summer in 90-degree weather because I was trying to cover myself up and just kind of hide, and haven't worn makeup for a long time, you know, or anything, you know. And then I was just at the point where it was like a purge, like beyond belief. It was like, if anything even looked even slightly feminine, I would just throw it away or burn it, because it didn't disgust me, but it made me remember my old self, who was just, it was wrong. You know, it made me remember the pitfalls I fell into about the self-hatred and the self-loathing. You know, it made me fall in a pitfall about esteem, you know, lack of esteem, or even ego comes into it, where you have to be pretty egotistical to think that you could do something better than somebody who was born the way they were born. You know what I'm saying? So there's all these things that I had to overcome. And I did that slowly. With Courtney's help, I was able to do it, you know, much faster than I probably could have on my own. I probably couldn't have ever completed it on my own, because it's very arduous. You know, it's you looking deep inside of yourself and like really asking yourself the hard questions. Like all the questions you've asked me are all like, yeah, you know, I asked myself some really hard questions, you know, questions I probably could never repeat on the air. You know, I might in person if it's just personal, but there's things that you have to dig through and really, really dig. And then you will start learning where you are, and you'll start learning who you are. And then you'll start falling in love with yourself, you know. And I'm not saying that it sounds weird, but the way I see it is, if I can look in a mirror when I wake up in the morning, and this is another thing I talk about when I'm giving speeches, is that how many of you all look in a mirror when you're brushing your teeth or shaving or whatever, putting on your makeup, you know, and actually really look at yourself and just say, hey, you're a great person. I love you. How many people do that? You know, I can do that now. You know, I wasn't able to do that for a long time. So
can you do that now?
For myself. I do that now all the time.
Wow.
I say thank you to myself. You know, I bless myself. I say, hey, I'm grateful. I'm blessed. You know, I'm doing great. You know, if I see a mirror, I say, hey, you're cool. You know,